What's a high-profile divorce? Well, if it's your divorce, you say all divorces are high profile. But there are some of my clients that have unique challenges. Corporate executives, people in the public spotlight, elected officials, sitting judges. Those are high-profile cases that you might not want all of your information in the public domain. And so you want someone that has some special care, not that we have special training, because in New Jersey, all lawyers are supposed to be created equal, wink, wink. But the reality is that you want a lawyer that's done this before, that's not gonna fumble something in your case and then you're on the front page of a magazine or a newspaper and you weren't expecting that. So there are some specific challenges that we need to focus on early on in a high-profile divorce. We might need non-disclosure agreements signed immediately. Perhaps you're business partners with another high-profile person, and that person is saying, wait a minute, you're getting divorced, not me. I don't want all my information to be wrapped up in your divorce. There could be particular clauses in this individual's contracts with different outlets that require some additional handling of care of the documents. There also is always the fear of tarnishing that person's image or that person's reputation. So there are specific things that we could do at the onset of a high-profile case to protect not just financial information, but the client's reputation in the public domain as well. Protecting my client's privacy and reputation during a high-profile divorce is a paramount concern. It's part of the reason why people come to me. And it could be as simple as the beginning of the case deciding that we're not filing a complaint for divorce, but instead we're entering into a tolling agreement and a non-disclosure agreement. So we're freezing time with the tolling agreement, and then we have a non-disclosure agreement with the other attorneys involved in the case. We may need to pull in my client's PR firm. We might need to pull in their agent. We might need to pull in their business attorneys or their partner's business attorneys so that all the interests are at the table, everybody's interests are represented, and we're not losing sight of anybody's privacy as well. You have a high-profile case involving children. So you have a dual task as the attorney, not just protecting your client's privacy, but your client's children's privacy. How do we do that? Well, in New Jersey, we certainly can file pleadings without using certain pleadings, without using full names. We can use initials in certain things. But more importantly, a skilled attorney is going to keep that case out of a courtroom, out of a judge's hands, as best they can. Whether you're mediating or arbitrating, all of those things can then stay out of the purview of the public domain of the court system, and instead you can go to an arbitrator or a mediator, and then the children's identities are protected in that domain, and you can resolve these cases without ever stepping foot in a courtroom. Most of my high-profile clients never step foot in a courtroom. And that is the ideal scenario, not just for them, not just for their PR team, but also for their children. Are all children treated equally in a divorce? So if I have a run-of-the-mill divorce for two working parents, each making $100,000, and then I have a multi-million or multi-billion-dollar case, are those children different? Of course the children are the same, but their budgets are what's different. So in these high net worth cases, these high profile cases, those children are just living a different standard of living than the children in a typical divorce. Those children might have live-in care, full-time nannies, security details. They may have budgets for travel, clothing, hair. They may have their own cook. All of those things matter. And yes, there's case law in New Jersey that says no child needs more than 2 ponies. We laugh and call that the 2-pony rule. But the reality is the children get to benefit from the good fortune of their parents, and that's not a number that's fixed in time. So if the parent is making, $50 million right now, and 5 years from now they're making $100 million, that child gets to experience the benefit of the growth of their parents' wealth. Complex assets are things that are your atypical. So it's not the house and the car and the bank account and stock. We know how to divide those. But what happens with residual income? What happens with royalties? What happens with future interest that a client may have signed a contract to do this movie 6 months from now, and they haven't yet received the income they're going to derive from that movie, for instance, yet. And the spouse is saying, wait a second, don't I get a piece of that deal? Well, that's where your skilled litigation team comes in identifying not just the assets that the family has today. Maybe there's in-kind income where the clients have vehicles or clothing or jewelry, and the spouse is saying, wait a second, I used to drive an X car because my spouse has a deal with this car dealership. How do I get compensated for that post-divorce? Those are the things that you want a skilled lawyer that isn't learning as they go, that's actually done this before, helping you through this process. Information gathering is so critical at the onset of your case. This is where I dig in with my client, and I want to know everything from not just assets that we think of like stock and brokerage accounts and savings and investments and, what's in the house? Is there a wine cellar? Is there a baby grand piano? Is there a Picasso? Is there this beautiful piece of art that's going to be a sticking point in your case? Jewelry, other high-end items. I mean, there's, definitely cases in New Jersey where we're valuing a handbag collection or a watch collection. All of those things matter. And then there will be those clients that say, hey, my wine cellar, it's priceless. Well, there are people that could value just about any asset that you have. And it's that information gathering at the onset of the case and not forgetting in-kind things. Not uncommon for high-profile celebrities to have endorsements with car companies, clothing companies, jewelry companies, and with that comes X thousands of dollars of items from that vendor every year. That is something I want to know about and include in the process of the divorce. In general, a high-profile divorce is far different than the everyday divorce. And every lawyer is going to put a tab on their page and say, I can handle a high net worth divorce. Wink, wink. Is it always true? I don't know. Have they done it before? Have they taught somebody else to do it? And what's your comfort level for that particular lawyer handling probably the most important transaction? And yes, a divorce, as crass as that may sound, it is a transaction minus the kids, right? So it's finding that right partner to navigate you through this process. You want to learn more? Feel free to give my office a call.